Hello friends, I am Dr. Ashish Agrawat. Welcome to my channel Live Biochemistry. In this video, I am going to talk about the free radical and antioxidants. So it is a very important short note. It is frequently asked and it is very important in exam also and also for the clinical practice also. So in this part, in this video, we will discuss about the free radical. In the next video, I will discuss about the very important antioxidant. So we will see about the definition of free radical, definition of free radical, okay, and we will see the reactive oxygen species, how these free radicals are generated, what are the exogenous source, what are the endogenous source of generation of free radical, how they are useful, and what are the disadvantage, what are the disease related to the free radical, and brief about the antioxidant. So stay tuned and watch this video till the end. Now, what are the free radical? Free radical. So free radical is a molecule or molecular atom that contain unpaired electron on its outer shell. Okay, and it may be one or more unpaired electron. So free radical, it is a molecule or atom that contains unpaired one or more unpaired electron. This word is very important. Unpaired electron on its outer shell. It is written as a superscript this dot. Okay. So it is a molecule or molecular fragment that contains one or more unpaired electron on its outer orbit, and it has independent existence. It is represented by the superscript dot R. Right. So you can see here, this is a diagram of the oxygen which has a paired electron. You can see here, these are the paired electron. Okay, and here you can see it is about to go out. So once it goes out, now it is a single. It is a, you can see these all are the paired electron, but this is a unpaired electron, single electron. So this molecule you can say as a free radical, right? Free radical of oxygen. Now, during the electron transport chain, we know oxygen is the ultimate electron lover, electron acceptor, and it is converted to H2O by the cytochrome oxidase. But this is not a just simple step. There are, it is covered in the four steps. So in the first step, oxygen one, when it gets one electron, it is converted to oxygen free radical. Okay, superoxide. Then when it gets one electron and two hydrogen, it is converted to H2O2. When one more electron they get, they contain, it forms the hydroxyl hydroxide. Okay, and then one electron, it is converted to H2O. So oxygen, when it gets one electron, it is converted to superoxide. Okay, superoxide radical. Then one more electron, it is converted to hydrogen peroxide. One more electron it gets, it is converted to hydroxyl ion, and when it gets this one more electron, it is ultimately converted to H2O. So when complete reduction of oxygen occur, it forms the water. But if there is a partial reduction, if there is a partial reduction, then free radicals are generated. So partial reduction will lead to the reactive partial reduction of oxygen. It leads to reactive oxygen species. If there is a partial reduction of nitrogen atom, it leads to the reactive nitrogen species. Okay, and here this reactive oxygen or reactive nitrogen species may not be the free radical, like H2O2. H2O2 is a reactive oxygen species because it is product of the partial reduction of the oxygen. Okay, when two electrons are added to the oxygen, it forms the H2O2. But so this is a reactive oxygen species H2O2, but it is not a free radical because for the free radical, it has to be, there is only one or more unpaired electron has to be there. Okay, here in H2O2 there is no unpaired electron. So H2O2 is not a free radical, but it is a reactive oxygen species. This superoxide ions and hydroxyl ions, these are the free radicals because they contain one or more electron, unpaired electron on its outer shell, right? So this is very important step, and it can be asked in your MCQ that if oxygen gets one electron, what does it forms? Okay, when it gets two electron, it forms the H2O2, 3 electron hydroxyl ion, and 4 electron, it completely reduced to water. Okay, but if it gets partial reduction like 1 electron, 2 electron, or 3 electron, subsequently reactive oxygen species are formed. Okay, so there are different reactive oxygen species like superoxide anion radical, that is O2 minus. When does it forms? When oxygen gets one electron. Okay, then hydroperoxy radical HOO, that is a hydrogen peroxide. When it gets the 2 electron, oxygen gets 2 electron. Hydroxyl radical, when it gets the 3 radical. The important about this is the most potent hydroxyl radical or hydroxyl ion is the most potent free radical. This you have to remember. This is asked in MCQ frequently, which is the most potent free radical. That is a hydroxyl radical. Then lipid peroxide radical, okay, and singlet oxygen, nitric oxide, peroxynitrite, all these are the different oxygen species. Now, what are the characteristics of the reactive oxygen species? So, we know what is reactive oxygen species when oxygen is partially reduced. Okay, so it may form the superoxide radical, it forms the H2O2, it forms the hydroxyl radical, but here this reactive oxygen species may not be the free radical. Okay, like H2O2, it is a reactive oxygen species, but it is not a free radical. Understand? So what are the characteristics? They are extremely reactive. They react with the any substance in which they are in contact. Okay, they are a very short lifespan in microseconds. Okay. Generation of new reactive oxygen species by the chain reaction. So it will propagate and they will damage the tissue. Right. So what are the characteristics? They were very highly reactive, highly reactive. They react with any substance in which they are come in contact. Lifespan is very short in microseconds. They from the chain propagation, radicals generated one after another, and they damage the tissue. Right. Now, what are the source of the free radical? So, most important is electron leakage during the. So, if there is a damage to the mitochondria or there is a during mitochondria during the electron transport chain, there is a chance of electron leakage, and that may produce the free radical. Then during the normal oxidation reaction they are produced. Then exogenous agents and respiratory bursts, these are the most important reaction in which free radicals are generated, right? So we will see one by one. So here you can see first from complex 1 directly electrons are transmitted to the ubiquinone. Complex 2 also directly transported to ubiquinone. Then they will transfer electron to complex 3. Complex 3 will transfer electron to cytochrome C. So coenzyme Q and cytochrome C are the mobile carrier of electron, and ultimately electron is transmitted to the oxygen. Oxygen is the electron acceptor ultimate, and it is converted to H2O. But normally about 1 to 4% of oxygen taken up in the body is converted to free radical. Okay, so there is a leak in the electron transport chain in the mitochondria, and they will produce the free radicals. Right, you can watch my video about the electron transport chain. The link is given just right above. Then during the normal oxidation reduction, like you can watch my video about the purine metabolism. So hypoxanthine is converted to xanthine. So here H2O2 is produced and xanthine is converted to uric acid by the xanthine oxidase. Again H2O2 is produced. So this reactive oxygen species is produced during the normal oxidation reduction reaction. So here the flavin coenzyme that is in peroxisome that takes part, and some enzymes such as xanthine oxidase, aldehyde oxidase form the superoxide anion radical or hydrogen peroxide. Okay, and auto-oxidation of certain compounds like adrenaline, thiol, ascorbic acid also produce the reaction. Then third is exogenous agents. So far we have seen that during the electron leakage in electron transport chain that may produce, or normal oxidation reduction reaction, they will produce a free radical. Then they are all the endogenous source. Now what is the exogenous source? Like toxic compounds like carbon tetrachloride. Okay, then ionizing radiation, smoking, ultraviolet rays, air pollution, pesticides, all they produce the free radical and they will damage our cell membrane. And last and most important is respiratory burst. So what happens? Any bacteria that is ingested in our body, it is taken up by the antibody, and this antigen antibody complex via the receptor, they are internalized. So phagosome, and they bind with the lysosome to form phagolysosome. Now there are enzymes. So what happens? Oxygen is converted to superoxide radical. Superoxide radical by the NADPH oxidase. So oxygen is converted to superoxide radical and NADPH is converted to NADP. So NADPH play a very important role. And when NADPH, what is the source of NADPH? Is HMP pathway from glucose 6 phosphate dehydrogenase G6PD enzyme, and they will produce the NADPH. This NADPH will help in the formation of fatty acid synthesis, cholesterol synthesis, also in the production of superoxide radical. So oxygen will be converted to superoxide enzyme. Very important enzyme is NADPH oxidase. Remember, this is frequently asked. Now this superoxide radical is converted to H2O2 by the superoxide dismutase enzyme. So this is very important. It is a chain breaking antioxidant. Okay, superoxide dismutase. And this H2O2 with the help of myeloperoxidase enzyme and with the help of chloride, it is converted to hypochlorous acid, and this hypochlorous acid will kill the bacteria. So oxygen here, it is converted to superoxide radical by the NADPH oxidase enzyme. This superoxide radical is converted to H2O2 by the superoxide dismutase enzyme, and this H2O2, okay, and with the help of chloride, it is converted to hypochlorous acid that can kill the bacteria. Okay, so I will revise it again. So whenever there is an infection, any bacterial or any viral infection, the oxygen requirement is very high. That is called as a respiratory burst. So why does, so oxygen, right, it is converted to the superoxide radical by the enzyme called as the NADPH oxidase. Okay, and here NADPH is converted to NADP. Right, and what is the source of NADPH? HMP pathway. This superoxide radical is converted to hydrogen peroxide with the help of superoxide dismutase enzyme. This is the most important chain breaking, very potent chain breaking antioxidant, because it will convert this superoxide radical to H2O2, okay, which is a not as such not free radical. And this H2O2 with the help of chlorides and enzyme is myeloperoxidase. Myeloperoxidase. It is converted to HOCl. What is HOCl? It is a hypochlorous acid. Hypochlorous acid. This hypochlorous acid will kill the bacteria. Okay, so during any bacterial or viral infection, there is an increased demand of the oxygen by the cell. Okay, and that is called as the respiratory burst. So this is frequently asked in the 2-mark question or in the Viva. What is respiratory burst? So I hope it is clear to you now, right? And there is also formation of free radical during reaction with the metals. So there are two important reactions: Haber-Weiss reaction and Fenton reaction. In Haber-Weiss reaction, so superoxide radical combine with the H2O2 and ion, and they will form the oxygen and hydroxyl ion, hydroxyl radical and hydroxyl ion. Then H2O2 in the help of ion, ultimately it is converted to hydroxyl radical and Fe plus 3. Okay. So Haber-Weiss reaction where oxygen, okay, so this superoxide radical, it is converted to O2 and free radical hydroxyl ion and in the presence of iron. While H2O2 plus Fe plus 2, okay, that is converted to Fe plus 3 OH minus and free radical. So that's why you can watch my video regarding the ion metabolism. Ion metabolism, always Fe plus 2 with the help of oxidase it is converted to Fe plus 3. Okay, and then it is stored either in the ferritin or in the transport form in the transferrin. Because if there is a Fe plus 2 in the blood, it can form the free radical. So our body will try to convert Fe plus 2 to Fe plus 3 always, right? This is very important. So this is Haber-Weiss and Fenton reaction. So they are frequently asked in the exam or viva. So you can see here oxygen, when it gets the one electron, it is converted to superoxide anion, superoxide radical, which can be again one electron is reduced to hydrogen peroxide, and then with the help of catalase enzyme, it can be converted to H2O. Or in the glutathione peroxidase, this catalase enzyme is present in the peroxisome. Or in the cytoplasm, it is converted to glutathione peroxidase. This reduced form of glutathione is converted to oxidized form of glutathione. Okay, and it oxidized glutathione again converted to reduced by the help of NADPH. Okay, and enzyme is glutathione reductase. Okay, so glutathione reductase enzyme require NADPH, and here this NADPH we get from the HMP pathway G6PD. So in case of G6PD deficiency, what happened? NADPH is not produced. If NADPH is not produced, oxidized glutathione is not converted to reduced form of glutathione, and reduced glutathione is helpful for conversion of H2O2 to H2O. So H2O2 will accumulate, it can damage the cell membrane and lead to hemolysis or damage the cell membrane, right? And this superoxide radical in the Haber-Weiss reaction that produce the oxygen, right? And this H2O2 with the help of oxygen and with the react with the Fe plus 2 and form the hydroxyl radical. Okay, and H2O2 react with the chloride and form the hypochlorite. Okay, so these are all the different reaction of the free radical. So we have already seen the exogenous source of free radical. What are they? Like ionization, pesticide, carbon tetrachloride, right? X-ray, ultraviolet rays, all can damage the cell membrane and they can generate the free radicals. These are the exogenous source. What are the endogenous source? Okay, so we have seen during the electron transport chain. Okay, so electron might leak from the inner mitochondrial membrane and they can generate the free radical while react with the oxygen. Another is during the formation of nitric oxide. We know very important that nitric oxide is a vasodilator. It is synthesized from the arginine. Okay, so arginine react with the oxygen and it may form the nitrous oxide radical. Then during the formation of cyclooxygenase, prostaglandin synthesis, or in the lipooxygenase enzyme, they may produce the superoxide radical. And we have already seen during the xanthine oxidase, then xanthine is converted to uric acid. During that reaction also, it can produce the free radical. During the respiratory burst from oxygen with the help of NADPH, they produce the superoxide radical. Also Haber-Weiss reaction and Fenton reaction. Okay, so all they are the endogenous source of the free radical formation. And now what are the use of the free radicals? So they form the signaling pathway in the cell. They produce the nitric oxide. You know that is very important as a vasodilator. Okay, and very smooth muscle relaxation ultimately. They have very important role in the immune modulation. They kill during respiratory burst. They kill the bacteria. So all these are the normal use of the free radicals. Okay, but they can damage our cell membrane. They can attack our lipid, protein, nucleic acid, and hemoglobin. So we will see one by one. So how, as we know, lipid is a very important part of our cell membrane. So it can cause the lipid peroxidation. So polyunsaturated fatty acids that are present in the cell membrane, they are easily destroyed by the peroxidation. So in the first step, these lipids react with the free radical and they will generate the radical ion like RH plus OH, that's free radical, that will generate the free radical. Okay, so there is the initiation step where there is the production of polyunsaturated fatty acid radical, right, or lipid peroxide radical. Okay, so this is our lipid. When they react with the free radical, they will form the PUFA radical, that is called R. Okay, or they will form the lipid peroxide radical. Okay. And in the next step, the carbon center radical rapidly react with the molecular oxygen and forming the lipid peroxide radical. So this carbon center radical react with the oxygen and form the peroxide radical. So this is how the chain will continue, and they will form more and more free radical. And lastly, there is a termination phase when two free radical they join together, they form the inactive products. Okay. So ultimately, lipid peroxidation, because of the free radical, they will damage the uh, polyunsaturated fatty acid of the present in the cell membrane and form the free radical. Then proteins, as such, they are less susceptible than the polyunsaturated fatty acid. Okay, lipid in the polyunsaturated fatty acid are the most susceptible, but they can alter in the conformation because of the oxidation of the SH group. So SH group that is present in the cysteine. So protein which contains the sulfur containing amino acid like cysteine, they are more easily oxidized by the free radical. Then nucleic acid, there is a chance of the chain break, alteration in the nitrogen base, and that can lead to the cell death or carcinogenesis. So cancer may cause when nucleic acid is damaged. And if hemoglobin is damaged, how? Because free radical will convert hemoglobin to methemoglobin. So what happens in the lipid? There is the chance of lipid peroxidation. So polyunsaturated fatty acids, they are damaged by the free radical. Then in the protein that contains amino acid, sulfur containing amino acid, SH group, they are more susceptible. Then lipid protein, okay, nucleic acid. What happens in nucleic acid? There is a chance of the change in the nitrogen base, okay, because our chain break can occur with the help of free radical, and hemoglobin can be converted to methemoglobin by the free radical. So all this lead to the damage of the cell membrane, and there are systems that will prevent the free radical damage. So like enzyme preventive glutathione peroxidase and catalase, we will see in detail in my next lecture about the antioxidant. Then chain breaking agents like superoxide dismutase and non-enzyme substrate like minerals, vitamin, they can prevent the free radical injury. We will see in detail about in my next lecture about the antioxidant. Okay, so as we know that reduced glutathione is converted to oxidized glutathione with the help of glutathione peroxidase, and H2O2 is converted to less toxic form, that is H2O. This oxidized glutathione again converted back to the reduced form by the glutathione reductase with the help of NADPH. Okay, catalase H2O2 will be converted to H2O, and this catalase is present in highest in the peroxisome. So we will see in detail in the next lecture also. And superoxide dismutase, they will convert superoxide ion plus 2H to form the H2O2, hydrogen peroxide. Okay, vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, all they will act minerals like celluloplasmin, copper, zinc, selenium, they all play important role in antioxidants. Okay, now lastly, what are the disease that are related to the free radical? So one is Alzheimer disease, Parkinsonism. So all neurological due to the aging. So free radical, they damage the cell membrane, they damage the lipid, which is a very important part of our cell membrane. They damage the nucleic acid, there's the chance of the cancer. They convert hemoglobin to methemoglobin. They damage the protein. So they may lead to the Alzheimer disease and Parkinson's disease. Okay, there is a lipofuscin pigment. Okay, so typical age sports that you see in the old age people, they are because of the free radical injury. So you can see here, these are the pigments. You can identify, these are the lipid pigments. They are called lipofuscin because of the aging. Why this aging occur? Because during the electron leakage or exogenous substance or everything, the stress, all lead to the free radical generation, and that can damage our cell membrane. Okay, then endocrine disease like diabetes, that is related to the free radical, they can damage the pancreas. Gastrointestinal acute pancreatitis, right? And other conditions, they may lead to infertility, obesity, inflammatory disease like rheumatoid arthritis, cataract, okay, respiratory disease, all are related to the free radical injury. If there is a NADPH oxidase, if this enzyme is deficient in some person, this enzyme deficiency lead to the uh, so oxygen will not be converted to superoxide radical, and they will not be converted to H2O2, and they will not form the hypochlorous acid. So ultimately it will lead to the chronic granulomatous disease. Chronic granulomatous disease. Okay. If there is an NADPH oxidase enzyme is deficient, so defective killing of the bacteria, it will lead to the chronic granulomatous disease. So this is all about the free radical. So I revise again. So definition. So here the molecule or molecular atom or fragment that contains one or more. That is very important. One or more. What is the most important part? Unpaired electron. One or more unpaired electron on its outer orbit. That are called the free radical. They are produced during the partial reduction either of oxygen or nitrogen. Okay, partial reduction of oxygen. Complete reduction will form the water, but incomplete reduction will form superoxide radical. Then 2 electron will form H2O2 and 3 electron will form hydroxyl ion. This hydroxyl ion is the most potent free radical, right? So they will produce during the electron leakage, during the electron transport chain, electron leakage, during the reaction with the metal ion like Haber-Weiss reaction and Fenton reaction, right? They are produced during the respiratory burst. As we have seen that oxygen is converted to superoxide radical, then converted to H2O2 and hypochlorous acid that can kill the bacteria. They are produced during the lipooxygenase pathway, okay, or cyclooxygenase pathway during prostaglandin synthesis, or during oxidation reduction reaction like xanthine oxidase enzyme. Okay, so these are all the endogenous source. Endogenous source. What are the exogenous source? Exogenous source like pesticide, smoking, carbon tetrachloride, okay, X-ray, ultraviolet rays, all are the exogenous source of free radical. And what are the disease related to the free radical? So there is aging, lipofuscin pigment form, okay, then chance of the myocardial infarction, chance of the diabetes mellitus. Why myocardial infarction? Because LDL, if it is oxidized, ultimately they form the foam cell and they form the atherosclerosis and cause the heart attack. Diabetes mellitus, chronic disease, aging like Alzheimer disease, Parkinson, all are related to the free radical, right? Then chronic inflammatory disease like rheumatoid arthritis also is related to aging. Okay, so these are all very important disease related to the free radical. Now we will see the MCQ. Okay, so which of the following is produced when oxygen is reduced to 3 electron? So we know that when first electron, they will form the superoxide radical, 2 electron, they form the hydrogen peroxide, and 3 electron, they will form the hydroxyl radical, and 4 will water. So our answer is hydroxyl radical. Okay, when 3 electrons oxygen is reduced. Then which of the following is the most potent radical? Superoxide radical, hydroxy radical, hydrogen peroxide, or superoxide radical? So I have already discussed it is a hydroxyl radical. Hydroxy radical, OH minus. It is the most potent free radical. Then during phagocytosis, the metabolic process called respiratory burst involves the activation of oxidase, hydrolase, peroxidase, or dehydrogenase. As we know that oxygen is converted to superoxide radical by the NADPH oxidase. Okay, so here the answer is oxidase. Then enzyme responsible for respiratory burst is, so our answer is NADPH oxidase. Okay, we have already seen. This is frequently asked in the exam. Regarding antioxidant, I will discuss in my next lecture. Thank you very much, friends, for watching for this video. If you like this video, please hit the like button, share my video, subscribe to my channel, and press the bell icon so that you can get notification for my future video also. Thanks for watching. Bye.